is Rich Steeves, web editor at TMC. I'm here in Austin, Texas for IT Expo 2012. Joining me now is Todd Abbott, Executive Vice President of Strategy and Go-to-Market at Sonus Networks. Todd, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here.
So it's been a pretty exciting year for Sonus.
It has. This has been really the big year for us from a transformation standpoint, really from a voice over IP infrastructure company to one that's really about SIP and enabling UC in the cloud for both enterprises and through the service provider. So we're making a lot of headway and really tilting the company to the new direction.
So you've done a lot of work in the session border controller space. What do you think is driving the growth in that particular space?
So I think SIP and an overall market evolution standpoint is really at a really key inflection point. It's been around a long time. It really was what enabled voice over IP to move from a premise-based to wide area communication to be able to offer high quality voice across the internet and converge voice and data. That's been the big driver of SBCs as the key technology to manage call flows from hop to hop across carriers. And then most recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, SIP trunking has now brought SIP to the enterprise, which is now enabling the development of really the application, the class of applications that SIP was intended to do, to move from circuit-based applications to session-based applications. It's now starting to open up a world of new applications and the ability to move UC to the cloud and really ultimately unify communication, because there are a lot of point applications. And so it's now starting to develop. So we've gone from that first phase of converging voice and data in the backbone and in trunks to now starting to see the applications affect unified communication. And all of that drives demand for more session border controllers.
Absolutely. So you talked about the enterprise market a little bit and the evolution of UC. Is it something you see exclusively for large companies, or is it something that small and medium businesses should use as well?
No, I think it's going to happen, I think, in all segments. I think the market will address those segments differently. The smaller the company, the more acceptable or more open they are to more cloud-based, and so I think carriers become the primary vehicle to those markets. And you see a lot of companies, 8x8 and Finality, really being able to address that market, because large and small enterprises don't have large IT staffs, don't want to invest in that, and so a per seat, per month kind of capability where the service provider delivers that integration is really a great fit. As you move up the stack from a segmentation standpoint, you get into the mid-market. I think there you're going to see a difference, a blend of the two. When you get into large, today large enterprises mostly are looking for a private cloud implementation. A lot of those private clouds are being implemented by service providers. We think they're going to move through an adoption phase where it moves to private and public, and then ultimately to really a public-based cloud, but it's going to take a while.
Absolutely. So Sonus has had a big year. You had a big acquisition this year. How has the acquisition of Net affected the company? Yeah,
the NET acquisition for us, we're 30 days into it. Spent a fair amount of time doing some integration planning. So after the first month, we feel really good about the team and the technology. And what it's really done for us is taken a strong high-end SBC play for the enterprise and now filled it out completely so we can address a VoIP gateway SBC technology for a small branch office all the way up to the headquarters location. So we can do it all. And it also gives us now a very strong partnership with the Microsoft Lync community. It's really clear that Lync has gotten tremendous momentum in the market, and so our ability now to address the Microsoft UC deployments as well as the Cisco and Avaya and Siemens traditional PBX environments. So our ability to handle both of those environments or all those environments and offer an architecture for the enterprise across all segments of their business is really what we're really excited about with the NET acquisition.
Good. So it seems like Sonus is well positioned now. Where do you see the company in the near future or in the distant future?
You know, I think in the near future, it's just continue to do what we're doing now. I mean, we just launched our channel program, so we're really only 2 months into that. That's beginning now to lay the foundation for us to extend our reach. That begins to come online from a delivering of some results here in Q4, positions us well for 2013. So it's really about continuing to execute for service providers. There's still going to be a tremendous amount of demand in the interconnects. The more UC traffic, the more interconnect capacity you're going to need. So that's going to grow at 20 to 25% per year. So we're positioned well there. SIP trunking is going to continue to grow. Still very early, only 12% penetrated in the US, 5% outside the US. So that's really early in the game. And now it's about getting out to the enterprise and helping them with their enterprise architectures to unify these heterogeneous UC environments. Every large enterprise has a mixture. And so they're really stuck with, how do I address, I've got some Cisco here, some Avaya there, some Microsoft. How do I unify these environments to offer really one set of interfaces and a federation capability across that within my enterprise? So that's the next big phase. And so we're just going to continue to build this slowly as the market grows, and I think we're positioned quite well.
So looking into that crystal ball, you talked about the adoption of SIP and UC technology is not as wide as we might expect. When do you see that really reaching that tipping point?
So I think, if tipping point is defined as you're now over 50%, I think that's going to be several years. From a demand and momentum standpoint in a large enterprise, I think we're really past that tipping point. It is really starting to accelerate in the US. As you go around the world, it's very, very different. There are some countries that you can't get a SIP trunk today. SIP trunking is only for the interconnects between carriers. And so it's very easy, frankly, to look at these markets and understand where is UC in the cloud really going to play, because SIP trunking is the critical requirement. And so in Europe, starting to pick up in the big countries of UK and Germany and France, a little bit slower in Eastern Europe. In Asia, still really just targeted in countries like Australia and Singapore. Korea is one of the most advanced from a SIP trunking standpoint. But you go to some of these other larger countries, it's still very early. So this is going to be really a decade kind of migration. It's kind of like what IP did to the mainframe era. Mm-hmm. SIP is going to take that kind of pace to really evolve and disrupt the traditional enterprise UC environments.
Great. So we look forward to seeing those changes and seeing what role that Sonus has to play.
We look forward to it.
Thanks for joining us, Todd.
Nice to see you.